Val Kleppen is wife to her Prince Charming hubs for over 2 decades, mother to Little Miss and Little Man, who endure her homeschooling dance parties, and bereaved mother to Harlan, who was born sleeping in 2013. She is a homesteading enthusiast residing in central South Dakota. She has been writing and speaking since 2008 and has been the host of the Motherhood Experience podcast since 2023. Please join us as Val reminds us, encourages us, and helps us to return to God's pace by reminding us that if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. Now that's something to think about. Welcome, Val. Welcome to She Leads Boldly, the podcast for faith-driven women navigating high-stakes leadership without compromising what matters most. I am Sharika Sanders, your host, mentor, and kingdom business leader. Here, we embrace bold leadership rooted in purpose, not pressure. This space is for the woman who refuses to choose between faith and ambition, family and fulfillment, impact and rest. Each week, you'll hear powerful conversations, practical strategies, and spirit-led wisdom to help you advocate for yourself, lead with integrity, and rise without burnout. If you're ready to lead boldly, live faithfully, and never settle for less than what God has promised, you're in the right place. I just want to thank you, Val, because one, not only sharing your voice, your experience, and your expertise, and all the things that we will discuss on the call today, but because, as I stated kind of before we started, you said something that is very real. I think we can all agree with. And no matter where you are in your journey, it holds true, which is if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. Mm-hmm. And I think we all, like anybody listening right now, could probably amen to to that comment. But please expound.
Yeah. So I was in church one Sunday and a friend of mine shared that quote. And it was a quote that a friend of hers had shared with her. And the minute she said it, I mean, it just resonated so almost primally, like everything within me just was like, oh, yes, there is some truth there. And especially coming off of 2020 when COVID shut everything down and our calendars just cleared and we realized, oh, wow, we can function in things that we enjoy without having to fill every single evening or afternoon with activities and all of this. And I started to really kind of audit my life and realize the things that I do, even if I choose to do them, don't necessarily pay dividends in my life. And are they taking up my time, or are they giving me more from when I spend my time doing them? And so that was just such a profound moment for me, and I've never forgotten it. And yes, I share it all the time because I think it's so relevant.
Absolutely. I can agree. And as women, wives, moms, and all the other hats that we wear, and sometimes at the same time, trying to do all the things all over the place, and because we have to. But who said that?
Exactly.
Who said you had to do this thing that somebody else either couldn't do it, that you couldn't ask for help, or that it's probably something that somebody else could have or is responsible for anyway, but wanting that control, or I can do it better, or I'll only like it if it's done this way. And then we get upset and frustrated because we don't have the help or support where it's there, but you took it away and put it on your plate.
Yeah. And that is such a good point, because we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to maintain this schedule, but also I found there were things that I felt obligated to do, that I had to do, but I had no interest in doing them. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just like, oh, I have to go do this thing I don't want to do. It was like my entire family was suffering. My work performance was suffering, like just because I put these things on my plate that did not need to be there. But once they were there, I felt obligated to follow through with them. And I learned a lot about prioritization and commitments, I think.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think there's also some of it also comes with a little bit of fear, especially if you've always been that person to do everything for everyone. And then you do finally start to establish boundaries and, it's okay to say no or not yet or ask for help or any of those things. And then, that certain person may come and ask for your help. And it's like, oh, but it's them. And if I say no, they may think I'm being selfish or I'm being mean or rude or any of these things where it could really just be you don't want to do it. And that's okay if to put your time first, like self-care is not selfish, or you don't have the capacity, like you really just don't have the capacity for it. But you're so used to, because of who it is, it's, well, let me just figure it out. And so I think a lot of us have that issue as well, but it is okay to say no. And I was just reading something recently where it was basically like this same story where someone had decided to establish some boundaries. And she was like, what if they don't like me anymore? What if they, say me? Actually, it wasn't a person. It was animals. It was a story on animals. And it was a donkey that would help out the cow, would help out the sheep, would help out the goats. And everyone would say, carry this for me, pull this for me, do that for me. And the donkey would say, okay. But when the donkey needed help, it couldn't get the help that it needed and nobody cared. And so finally, a wise turtle came and told the donkey, your help is, it said something about the way that the donkey looks. And the donkey said, well, I'm just so tired. I need help and no one is helping. And the turtle said something to the effect of, well, that's because you don't value yourself. And the donkey was like, what? And it said, your help, you say yes to everybody. And so now you've reduced your value because there are no limits. Anything that anybody needs from you, you give it. But if you start to respect yourself and your time and establish those boundaries and stick to it, you'll see that things will change. And the donkey was kind of scared because, what if people aren't my friends anymore and all of those things. And it didn't do it. And then finally the donkey was like, no, somebody asked for help and it said no. And the sheep, I'll say it was like, what? Like, who do you think you are? And then another animal asked for help and the donkey was like, no. And, oh, so you think you're so, whatever now. Well, fine. I don't need you anyway. And like everyone did get upset, but the donkey realized as each animal got upset, it started to feel lighter and more free in its ability to say no. And then finally, an elephant, I'll say, came and said, hey, can you help me? I'll do this part if you can help me with that part. And the donkey was like, you know what? Sure. And they both finished on time. They both still had their strength. And it was because they worked together. And eventually everyone started to kind of get on board and work with the donkey instead of making the donkey work for them.
I love that and I think this is something that you talk about often on your podcast is burnout, right?
Yes.
And so the donkey was just giving and was finally burnt out and had no more to give except for the answer no. I think also I was listening to you share that and I'm remembering I grew up hearing, if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Yep.
And I feel like there's total burnout from that, obviously. And there is a sense of freedom when, like, if you want something done at all, Accept the help that is offered you to get it done. You can always fine tune it later, but don't let perfect be the enemy of done.
Right.
And oh my goodness, I love that story. I love it, Sherika.
And it was when I first saw it, I don't remember what it was titled to even make me go to, because I'm like, a story about animals. What am I reading? But as I started, I was invested, like, oh, so what's going to happen next? And, is the donkey right? Will people start? Because at first I thought the story was going to say the donkey said no, and people immediately, or the other animals immediately were like, oh, we're so sorry. But no, it was exactly what he thought would happen. They turned their backs. They said he was being selfish. They said he was being mean. And people will do that when they've gotten used to honestly abusing you and your time. And they did like basically turn their backs on him, but he realized he felt free. And then also they started to realize like, oh, wait a minute. We should respect his help and what he does, because even in one of the examples in the donkey saying, before he started saying no, he was getting tired and he was helping, I'll say, a goat, and he kind of like fell over from exhaustion. And the goat was like, oh, you're slowing me down. Just forget it. And it was like,
Ooh.
like, wait a minute, I need help. And you're just thinking about yourself. And so, I mean, it's a story about animals, but it's very relatable because we do feel like we have to. And it's like, but who told you that?
Yeah.
But it's you said it exactly. If you want something done right, do it yourself. And I think so many of us have had that as our mantra, what we stood on. And I have to do it because, well, first we have to let go of that control, and then know that just because it's not done the way that we want, because it probably won't be done the way we would do it, it doesn't mean that it's wrong.
And it gives you so much unnecessary burden to carry.
Yes.
One of the biggest fights that my husband and I ever got in, we had only been married a couple of months. And this was 23 years ago. Okay. So this was a while ago, and times were different. Yeah. We were very different. And he came into the room where I was working on the computer, and I wasn't doing things with the mouse the way that he would do it. And he took the mouse out of my hand to do it for me his way. And Sherika, the fireworks that erupted when that happened. I mean, we learned a lot, of course, in our marriage as a result of that. But it's just, you just get so into your own way. And you know what? Yeah, someone else might be able to do it better than you. God forbid. But it's just, I love the story of the animals because there's that collaboration and that lifting one another up. And that is so much more than just the burden resting on either one person or one method, because wow, that can just tie us down.
Absolutely. It's funny that you shared that. I was the offender, or when my husband and I, it was before we got married, because we bought our home like probably about 6 months before our actual wedding date. And we were doing our premarital counseling. And one of my gripes was that he always has to take a nap. And I'm like, why does he have to take a nap? I don't take a nap. Why does he? And the pastor who was doing the counseling was like, what's wrong with it? Because I don't take, okay, well, can you? Yeah, but I don't want to take a nap. Okay, well then, like, what is your problem, lady? He didn't say that, but he was, like, if that's his reset, let him have his reset. And I was just like, oh, I don't understand it. Just, that made me so, and nothing, like, it wasn't like anything fell off, something happened. And sometimes it would be maybe 20 minutes. Like, it wasn't like he would come home for hours on end. And no, but I just didn't like it. And so he basically was like, let it go, let it go. And I did. And I can definitely say, like, everyone is much better from it.
Yeah. And that's the piece. Like, I think also growing up, I grew up in the, you can be anything you want to be, do anything you want to do. Don't let anybody stop you, crash through that glass ceiling, all of these things. And so I thought by forcing my own way on every situation and every person around me that I was leading well in doing that. And it wasn't until I realized, like, okay, there are some important things here and not everything is important. And so let's focus on the important things and let's let all these other things go. And wouldn't you know it, Sharika, people began to follow me much easier. I started to like develop leadership skills in a way beyond what I thought I could. Everything changed when I just, we say a lot like when you get out of your own way, but also you got to get out of the Lord's way too.
Yes. Yeah, yes. And oh my goodness. So, because that was what I definitely had to learn. And even now, I still have to pause because we'll ask God, like, where are you in this? Or even like you brought me to this place or brought me to this thing, or I'm in the midst of whatever it is and I'm burnt out, I'm tired. Like, where are you? But he's saying, I'm right here. I just need you to move. And I had another guest and she explained it so well. And she said, it's just like if you're in the car and the Lord is driving the car and you're on the passenger side and you keep trying to take the wheel. And but you're wondering why you're swerving all over the road. You know, you're afraid, you're running into things. And it's like, he's like, if you just move your hand and let me take the wheel, then we can get where we need to be. I can help you. And I was like, that is a great example because we do say, Lord, where are you while we're still trying to do this, that, our job and everybody else's. And he's a patient God. And he'll wait. I'll wait. Look, go ahead. I'll wait. But we do that so often. And even like, I realize how I show up and the things that my daughter does. So like we were doing something one day, maybe had some bags and coming in the house or something. And I was like, let your brothers help. Like, think like one of them may have even asked or volunteered. She's like, and I'm like, let them help. No, I'm a strong woman. I got it. And I was, well, okay. And I'm like, okay, fine, you can be strong, but if they're there to help, like, let them help. And if someone is extending a hand to say, let me help you, you don't have to be in like dire need to be okay. If they can help lighten the load, it doesn't have to be like overbearing for you to say, okay, yes, I'll take the help. And it's something that it took a while for it to finally click. And sometimes we still struggle with it because she'll be like, nope, I got it. I can do it. Okay. All right. But it made me think and reflect like, okay, well, what am I doing or how am I showing up? Because I know she's mimicking what she sees. And so it definitely made me kind of step back and ask for help more or allow help more so that like, so it doesn't make you weak to say, I need help or to allow someone to help you.
Amen. In fact, it allows you to keep your strength.
Yes.
And one of the things that attracted my husband to me was my sense of independence. And after we were married, one of the things that really bothered him about me was my sense of independence. So there is so much strength in humility.
Yes.
And in just, by allowing yourself to be served at times really does help you in how you serve others.
Yes.
And it's just, it sounds so contradictory. It sounds so counterintuitive, but I'm here to tell you it's fact.
There is strength in vulnerability. And just being able to show up, to take off the cape and ask for help or allow others. A lot of times you don't even have to ask. Like people are there and willing, but we just say no. And so, but allowing others to step in and do that, because that's a lot of times we'll complain like, Lord, I have all this, like, I need help. And like for us, we're a household of five. It's five of us, I'm the only one that washes the clothes. I have to separate them, wash it, dry, fold it, put it up, to everybody's clothes. And it was like, and this is a lot. Okay, well, did you say anything? Did you ask anybody? Well, no. And really all it took was for me to open my mouth and say that. All it took for me was to show my kids how to do their own laundry, which they all do their own. They're 12, 16, and 17. They all go wash their own clothes. They wash, they dry, and it's yours. So that means you take it back to your room, and I don't even have to, see it. But it's doing things like that but typically we get upset first. We wait until we get burnout and say, well, nobody's, showing up for me. All right, sis, pause for just a moment, because what I'm about to share could be the very thing that shifts everything for you. Let's be real for a minute. Too many women are sitting on the sidelines of their own lives waiting for someday. But you know God is calling you higher. That's why I created a way for you to connect with me one-on-one. Now go sign up at Transform the Gap, that's GAAP.com, and then come back. Because this episode is only getting better, and I want you equipped for the next step. See you soon. Open your mouth.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that I've been talking with my daughter about lately, is you have to set the expectation right away. And I mean, this is with social groups, with responsibilities, with schoolwork. Like, you have to set that expectation right away, because if you don't know what is expected of you, or if you don't know how to behave or what to accomplish, guess what? You're probably not going to behave that way or accomplish that thing. So for so many years, I would tell her, let's just say, for example, clean your room. Well, what does that mean? And what is mom and dad's expectation when we say clean your room? She might think it's, make your bed, empty the trash. And forget about the laundry and the toys and the, everything else everywhere. But she doesn't know what to expect. And so you have to set that expectation. And
I love that.
It really promotes peace and productivity.
Yes.
It promotes both of those things. And it's a win-win. But again, it's something that we just don't think about, because, well, I said so, and I'm your authority, so listen to me. I can't believe you didn't do it this way. Now I have to come in behind you. I mean, and you can see it just spirals and derails right away.
Yeah, I think that's very important to note, because our understanding may be completely different. And they did exactly what they thought they were supposed to do. And even well, why didn't you ask? Well, why would I ask for clarification if I thought I had it already? So it is important, and this is just even a part of communication, and when delivering a message, to say what that expectation is, so that then if there are questions, they're like, oh, okay, now I know what questions to ask, or I know what it is that's expected of me. And so I can do that thing. Or if I don't do that thing, then I am accountable, because you explained or advised and I still didn't follow it. But I think on our side too, it's in letting go of that control and allowing others to do things that we have been doing, whether it was ours or not, having that patience, because initially they may not do it right, or they may take longer than we would take, but it's part of the process. We didn't start off acing, whatever task as well either. And so it's having that patience and making sure, like, in the example of the clothes, it wasn't just, oh, you need to start washing your clothes and I'm not doing it. It was first, let's go through how to put a load together. Like, what does that look like? And then let's go through what it looks like to put, the different settings on the machine and how all of that works. It was a process, but in taking the time to follow those steps, now it's like, okay, we're good to go. Or I would say, put the load together, put it in the machine and set it. Don't turn it on. I want to see, after we started getting further along, but it was those steps. But that's another part of it too. We lose patience. I want it done. And now, and then we upset because it's not the way that we want it, but it goes back. Did you clarify what it is you needed? And then if you did, if it's their first time, there may be some mistakes. Their second time, there may be some mistakes versus you've been doing this for, double-digit years.
Right. Well, even when you take that into your own life, Sharika, how many lessons have you learned personally from mistakes that you've made versus if you had just done it without messing up? Exactly. Countless. And there are so many things that we do differently today. There are so many things we don't do at all today. There are so many things that we have learned or opted to do instead because know better, do better. We made the mistakes, we learned from them, and it only improved us. Yeah, it was probably embarrassing at the time. It probably was a blow to our pride, but that doesn't mean that it was a total loss either.
Right.
Like we have only improved because of them. And so the patience thing, though, the point you made about patience is so key because it really does come back to being on us about that and not only letting others make mistakes so they can learn from them, but letting ourselves really, whether it's learn a new lesson or just kind of evaluate our priorities and our own processes and see what's really working here and what isn't, and let's get rid of what isn't.
Exactly. And please know, speaking from someone who's still under construction.
Yeah, amen. Same.
Because it also kind of depends on what that thing is and the value that we hold. Because there are certain things, if it's cleaning the room, we could have a little bit more patience with that and cleaning their own room versus, if we have them to clean the living room or somewhere where everyone is or an area where everyone sees. So, it's those little factors that come into play. But I think having that patience, taking that time, remembering that God is patient with us when we mess up or when we try to take control of things that, aren't ours, or he, may tell us do this and we just take it and run with it and never go back to ask for any follow-up, any clarifying, like any of that. And so I think just remembering that when we're dealing with others, the same grace that we're given to extend that to others as well.
Yeah. And have you ever, this happens to me so much. Even 2 days ago, I remember I was telling my husband, I went to the kitchen to pour something into the sink. But when I was in there, I remembered that I had to feed the dog. So I set the glass down and I went and fed the dog. And while I was feeding the dog, I remembered that, something of hers was in another room, and it spiraled. And then that cup that I went to take and pour into the sink just sat on the counter.
Yep.
Guess what? No one else poured it down the sink because they didn't know what it was or why it was sitting there. And it's just, when we get into these, I have to, then what we initially set out to do, whether it was simple or complicated or anything in between, doesn't even get done. And we just live in this cycle of chaos. And so it becomes really necessary to, I think interchangeably, we can use the words prioritize and focus.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Take the important things, but also spend enough time and energy focusing on them to get it done. I could have still fed the dog after I poured it into the sink, but I didn't. And then it was just this whole array of random, chaotic things. And was it productive? Maybe, but it didn't feel like it.
Yeah. All the time. all the time, because then it ends up being the one thing that you were working on. You now have 5 things in progress, and you may have made some progress in some or even completed others. Like, I was putting up clothes one day, and there are some sheets, and I was like, oh, let me just go ahead and put these up. And I went to put those up, but then the space that the sheets and all of those comforters and all of those are in, it was messy. And I was like, why is this stuff like this? So then I started folding that stuff up. But then when I was doing that, there were some other clothes, and I was like, oh, let me put these over here because they go in this. And then it was the end of the day, and I was still, those clothes where I started was just still we're still sitting there because it was 5 other things that came in the middle. And I know my husband has come sometimes. He's like, what was happening here? Because it looks under construction.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband caught me like trying to do some kind of DIY maintenance project in another room, and like in the entryway, and he came up and said, what are you doing? And I just looked at him and I just started laughing, and I was like I was trying to start a little laundry, because like that was the truth, but that's not where I was or what I was doing. Yeah, it can get out of hand pretty quickly.
And you know what? Focus is the best word to use, because I think for me, I used to notice that I would do it. I was like, but it's all stuff that needs to be done, so it's okay. And now I think I've gotten more to the focus, and is this a priority right now?
Yeah.
Over what you were already doing or what you needed to do, or how about just write it down? Because I think that's sometimes too, like, if I don't do it now, I'll forget it, or it won't get done.
Right.
Write it down, or just make a plan to do it at another time. Or, is this really the priority right now? Is this really what I should be focusing on right now? And, it's different for everyone. Like for me, I know there are certain things that I may say, I really want to get this done today. And then there's something else that I really need to get done. And sometimes I'll do the want first, because if I don't do it, I won't do it. And I know that need has to happen. So I can do this want and go ahead and get it out of the way, because I know either way the need is going to take place. And so sometimes that's how I have to kind of prioritize things to make sure it happens. But then I also have to tell myself, okay, if it's 10 o'clock at night and there's a want and a need, do your need and go to bed, or whatever it is. And that want will have to wait until another day and time, because when it's all said and done, our rest that we often push to the side and forego is just as important as anything else that we have to do.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's something that we kind of martyr ourselves on. We don't allow ourselves to have restorative rest, the kind of the rest and digest cycle, and our health suffers, our mental health suffers. And again, it goes back to, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And so all these things that you see with in my house, we call them wife eyes and husband eyes, right? And husband eyes miss a lot of things.
Yes. Yes.
And the wife eyes see too many.
Yes.
I think. And so, yeah, it is so critical to, and really, if it becomes a want or need, or you don't know what it is, just stop and seek the Lord.
Yes.
There is no question too small, no detail too insignificant that he won't help you sort it out. If you sit down and say, Lord, do I do A or do I do B? He may come back and say, you do C, neither of those.
Yes.
Yes. And so it's so important to make sure that we are always seeking him, listening to him, because just because we think it needs to or has to or wants to get done doesn't mean that it needs, has to, or wants to get done.
I can absolutely agree with that. And you're right. So I have my weekly business meetings with God. And one of the things that's within that meeting, or what do I focus on this week? And I write down the things that I think I need to focus on. And I put focus, what is my focus for the week? And then I'll put in smaller words next to it, I'll say for confirmation, because I know there are certain things that that I think I need to do and I need to focus on. And even as I'm putting those things together, other things will come up. But I then pray over that list and really release the list and my control over that list to God, because just like you said, there may be some things that I haven't even written down that will come up. And there are other things that I thought maybe weren't as big of a priority that the Lord will have me to focus on. And so I think that's definitely something to know. And even, also to your point, sometimes we can be in the midst of something and it's like, wait a minute, I have all of these things I need to do. And sometimes I'll just stop and say, Lord, help me. What do you want me to focus on right now? Or help me with my focus for today, because I feel myself about to go, all over the place trying to do all the things. And so sometimes we have to catch ourselves and give it to God in that moment. And if that means being still for 10 minutes, being still for 10 minutes, and he will definitely, guide us and direct us through the Holy Spirit of where we need to go, what we need to do. We're not highly unlikely not going to hear the big booming, your duties are,
Yeah.
first go. It's not going to happen that, but you will feel like either you'll start to feel peace over stopping a certain thing and, kind of guide it towards, what needs to happen. Like your phone could ring and, oh, let me go do this part because that was, so we really, truly, when we say give it to God, it's really about trust.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
really trust.
Yeah. And why is it such a challenge? Why is it such a challenge for us? Like, we believe in him. We know that he is for us. I can tell you, we could have 27 stories in a row of ways that he has rescued us and even encouraged us. And yet we still sit here and say, but are you sure? Are you sure about that, Lord?
Right,
Wouldn't you rather
right.
do it this way? Yeah, that's so true. Such a good word.
And thankfully, he's not like us, because I know if I tell one of mine to go do a thing and or even like if it's something they've never done before and I'm like, try it. And if they're hesitating, it's like, what? Like, would I ever tell you to do something that would hurt you? Would I, if, X were to happen, I would be right here, or I would never set you up to fail. Like all of these things we're trying to convince them about. And we are nowhere near as powerful or have the can love as, the way that God does. But then when it comes to us, because we are his children, but when it comes to us and our relationship with him, it's like, I'm gonna see for myself.
And that is so convicting me right now, because we have a phrase with our kids in our house. Like when we say to do something, if they hesitate, we gently remind them, like, listen all the way right away with a happy heart. Like when we say something, delayed obedience is disobedience type thing. And so how many times has the Lord directed something or shown me something? And I wonder if he could say, Val, listen all the way right away with a happy heart.
Yes.
Yeah. And it would go so much easier for me, probably.
Because I think we definitely forget. We may be adults, but just like we're, and our parents, you'll always be my baby or whatever. We know. And it's like, yeah. But like we will always be his babies. We're his children, and he's always watching out for us. He's always there for us. The same thing that we tell ours, but we can't even do those things that we say to them for them without his grace working through us. And so just imagine, like, he doesn't need anything from us, and he still shows up for us. He's still patient with us. He still leads us and guides us, even when we forget to say thank you, when we, don't go to him first and, move forward in whatever a thing is. He's still always there. He never leaves us and never forsakes us. And yet, just like you said, we still are like,
yeah,
but I'll take care of it. And I'll just let if, I need your help, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's Yeah. So it's, I think, you know, convicting you, convicting me, and I'm sure others that are listening as well. But you're right. You would think it would be so easy and so simple for us to be like, you already know. Why are you questioning this? But yet, time after time.
Yeah. Yeah. And we wonder like why we get so overstimulated and, you know, confused about things. And we gotta set stuff down. We gotta set stuff down, seek him first, and not forget to do that.
Yes. So this has been one of those conversations that I feel like spoke to me just as much as it did to everyone else. I think we can all agree that we are a work in progress, in process. So everybody always asks, the thing now is like, what is your word for the year? And I'm like, that's just, first of all, that's so aggravating to me. I don't know what the word of the year is like, because what's happening right now, 6 months from now may be completely something different and it may be a new word. But what I realized at the end of 25, a word that came out of my mouth like almost daily was intention or intentional. And I was like, I think that was what my thing for the year, because that's what I said, that's what I did. And for this year, I started off the year hosting an event called Becoming Her, the wife God called. Later this year, there will be Becoming Her, the daughter God called. I've been led to several sermons online that were about becoming. And so I'm saying all that to say, when we have conversations like this, we're not speaking from oh, I'm an expert and we have overcome and now like we are still becoming and we are still, you know, and that's, I think, all that God really asks of us, to make sure that we keep our eyes stayed on him and allowing him to direct our steps and where he wants us to be. And we will continue to grow. We will continue to evolve, and we will continue to become who God called us to be.
And praise God for that.
Yes. And I thank you, Val, because I feel like this is something that should have helped to provide a relief for those that are listening, as well as some conviction in other areas. But I also want to highlight, if you would please tell us, because you have a podcast, the Motherhood Experience, please tell us where we can listen to you and find and hear more from you. And of course, you know, I always make sure that our guest contact information is listed, but we're here right now. So the Motherhood Experience.
Yes, thank you so much. The Motherhood Experience is the most fun assignment I feel like I've ever been given from the Lord. It was totally his podcast, not my idea at all. And essentially, it's a platform where you get it. Yeah. It's a platform where moms of all ages and all stages of motherhood just come and share their unique story and experience. And I'll tell you, it's like just like coffee fellowship with a friend. But also, I get the opportunity to sit at the feet of these moms and just soak up their wisdom.
Yes.
And learn from them. It has been so enriching. And so every week we release a new episode. It's just like this, a conversational style where they just share about their motherhood journey, how they're becoming the mom that God has prepared them to be for their special, unique children. And it's such a joy. So you can find it on any streaming platform, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can go to themotherhoodexperience.com. You can also watch the video versions on YouTube if you're into video versions of podcasts rather than audio. And you can find me on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my social media time, _ the Motherhood Experience.
Thank you. And yes, we have that. So we'll make sure that your contact information is included with your bio. Please listen to the Motherhood Experience. If you enjoyed our conversation today, I know you'll thoroughly enjoy it. Whenever, just like you said, hearing stories of how other women were able to overcome or understand or resolve different things with their children at different stages different stages of motherhood, different stages in their kids' years, and we're forever learning. And as soon as we think we know it all, that's the moment when you probably need to go run to God, run to his feet, because we never know. I don't ever want to say that I know it all, because there's always more to learn. There's always more that we can do, that we can be. And the moment I say that I've learned it all, then what purpose does God have for me to be here?
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm so thankful he never cemented me in my own ways like back when. Yes. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to change and grow and develop in him more and more all the time, because it wouldn't have been flattering.
Same. Well, thank you again for your voice, for your words of wisdom. And are there any final thoughts?
I just want to encourage the listener who maybe is feeling overwhelmed, overburdened, overscheduled, that you have permission. You have permission to seek the Lord first and to discern whether or not the things happening in your life are necessary or even beneficial. Maybe they are necessary, but not in the capacity that they're happening in right now. They can be done differently or through a different venue or something. And I just really want to encourage you to evaluate how you're spending your time, where you're spending your time, and to know that the Lord never meant for us to be completely running in chaos all of the time. Mm-hmm. And so I really hope that encourages someone today. And I want you to know you're not alone. This is something that I talked about with Sherika today, but I'm still working through it myself all of the time. And so you're not alone. Be encouraged. And we're praying for you, mamas.
Yes. Thank you. That was amazing. The final sentence. We're praying for you, mamas. Mm-hmm. Please know you are not alone. So thank you, Val, again. And as we like to say here on She Leads Boldly, until next time.
Yes.
Hey, friend, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe to She Leads Boldly so you never miss an episode. And let's stay connected. Join our growing community of faith-driven powerhouse women where you'll find real talk, encouragement, and tools to fuel your journey. Oh, and I've created something special just for the bold, faith-driven women like you. An ebook, When You Know His Name. Discover identity, intimacy, and the power of prayer through the names of God. This ebook is designed to equip and encourage you to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction in every space God assigns you to. Available now on Amazon. And if you're ready for deeper clarity, I would love to personally walk with you. I offer a one-on-one session called Your Path to Purpose and Power, and it's to help you break through the overwhelm and realign with what God is actually calling you to in this season. Whether it's burnout, boundaries, or fresh vision, you don't have to figure it out alone. All links are in the show notes. Oh, and one last thing. I would love to hear from you. What questions are you carrying this season? What topics would serve your walk, your work, your womanhood right now? Send me a message or an email, because this podcast is for you, and I want every episode to speak directly to where you are. Remember, you don't have to choose between your faith, your family, and the calling on your life. God's grace makes room for it all. So until next time, stay anchored in purpose, covered in grace, and always ready to rise. Talk soon, friend.